of red brick, or of brick that would have been red if the smoke and ashes had allowed it. But as matters stood, it was a town of red and black, like the painted face of a serpent.
It was a town of machinery and a town of tall chimneys,
out of which interminable serpents of smoke unfurled themselves,
forever and ever,
and never got uncoiled.
It had a black canal in it that ran purple with ill-smelling dye, with vast piles of building full of windows,
from which there was a rattling and a trembling all day long,
and where the piston of the steam engine worked monotonously up and down, like the head of an elephant in a state of melancholy madness.
It contained several large streets,
all very like one another,
And many small streets,
Still more like one another, inhabited by people,
equally like one another,
who all went in and out,
at the same hour, with the same sound, upon the same pavement,
to
do the same work.
Josiah Bounderby, a coal town, banker, merchant, a manufacturer, and whatnot. Now, I dare say you've heard a lot of talk about the work in our mills. Well, let me state the fact of it to you. It's the pleasantest work there is, and it's the lightest work there is, and it's the best paid work there is too. As to these millhands that you see here before you, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there is not one of them, not one, has but one ultimate object in life. And that object is to be fed on turtle soup and venison with a gold spoon. And that's not going to happen. So, now you know the place. Yeah, and if you don't believe me, well, you can ask my friend Thomas Gradgrind. He is a member of Parliament. Thomas Gradgrind, sir, a man of realities, a man of fact and calculation, a man who proceeds from the principle that 2 and 2 is 4 and nothing over. Thomas Gradgrind, with a rule and a pair of scales, and the multiplication tables always in his pocket. You will see nothing in Cooktown but what is severely useful. Look at the buildings.
The jail might have been the infirmary.
the infirmary might have been the jail.
Town hall might have been either. The chapel was the pilot's warehouse of red brick.
cheapest market, or saleable in the dearest, is not and never will be world without end.
Fact, fact, fact. Everywhere in the material aspect of the town.
Fact, fact, fact. Everywhere in the immaterial.
The Matocum Charles School was all fact, and I should know.
Orthography, etymology, syntax, prosody, biography, astronomy, geology, geography, cosmography, zoology, science of compact proportion, algebra, land surveying and levy, verbal music and political economy. 1 is 5 is 5, 2, 5 is 10, 3, 5 is 50, 4, 5 is 20, 5, 5 is 25, 6, 5 is 30, 7, 5 is 35, 8, 5 is 40, 9, 5 is 45, 10, 5 is 50, 11, 5 is 55.
Desks! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will begin by revising yesterday's lesson on the science of political economy. The social system is based on
Self-interest.
the price of commodities is determined by
The law of supply and demand.
national prosperity equals
The whole annual product.
the actual price at which a commodity is sold is
The market price.
girls and boys. Mr. Gradgrind, our benefactor and the founder of this institution. Sit down. You are all beneficiaries of Mr. Gradgrind's generosity and are here at your parents' behest to learn from his wisdom.
Fact. What I want is fact. Facts alone are what I wanted in life. Nothing but fact. And root out. Anything else? Let us begin with the British Empire. Great Britain and Ireland. Revenue and public debt. Boy number 18.
Revenue £90 million, public debt £698,500,000, sir.
Indian possessions. Area and square miles. Girl number 32.
Sir, 1,658,944 square miles.
Population of the same. Girl number 9.
271,180,000, sir.
Australasia. Imports and exports. You go. Number 20.
Please, sir. I don't know, sir.
You don't know? Well, what is your name, girl number 20?
Sissy Jupe, sir.
Sissy is not a name.
My father calls me Sissy.
Then he has no business to it. Tell him he mustn't. Cecilia Duke. Now, what is your father?
He works in the circus. He's a clown and a tumbler.
To the circus.
He looks after horses.
Well, we don't want to know about that here, Duke. Describe your father as a horse breaker. Now, give me your definition of a horse. Girl number 20 unable to define a horse. Girl number 20 possessed of no facts to the commonest of animals. Now, some boy's definition of a horse. Bitzer, yours.
Quadruped, graminivorous. 40 teeth, namely 24 grinders, 4 eye teeth, 12 incisors. Sheds coat in spring in marshy countries. Sheds hooves too. Hooves hard, but require required to be Soviet Lion, age known by marks in mouth.
Now, girl number 20, you know what the horse is. We are training you to be people of math, who only live by fact, mathematical and scientific, which is susceptible only to proof and demonstration. This is a new discovery, children, a new principle of life. I intend you children to be models, just as my own children are models of this exciting new world.
Mr. Gradgrind had 5 children. Before they could run to their tenderest years, they were made to run into the lecture room.
Louisa, the eldest, and father's favourite.
Tom, the eldest boy.
And the 3 little Gradgrinds.
Adam Smith.
Jane and little Malthus.
We could count at 2.
Read at 3.
Right at 4, we haven't heard of fairy stories or nursery rhymes. Jack and the Beanstalk.
Man in the Moon.
Tom, Dad, Thumbelina.
The cow with the crumpled horn.
Sleeping Beauty.
The cow jumped over the moon.
Who tossed the dog? Humpty Dumpty. The little dog laughed to see such fun.
Who worried the cat?
Rumpelstiltskin.
The dish ran away with the spoon.
Who killed the rat?
Who ate the malt?
We never knew any of this.
Parchment and paper, chalked up standing fast, lines divide line and then coated in grey, primers in Latin, stony waxed tablets, lines in motion and no rest for play.
Here's the equation that marks out our childhood. Minutes divided and those days and weeks by the clock that dictates
With each tick like a blow, that truth is all fact, and fact all we know. Grammar, mathematics, man's great achievements, maps of the world and its fraction domains. Science our master, steadily crafting iron and wood to make rulers and kings.
Here's the equation that marks out our childhood. Minutes divided and hours, days and weeks by the clock that dictates
With each tick like a blow, that truth is all fact, and fact all we know.
I'm sick of my life, Lou. I hate it altogether, and I hate everybody. I even hate myself.
Don't say that, Tom. You're my brother, and the best brother in the world.
I'm a donkey, that's who I am, Lou. I'm as obstinate as one, I get as much pleasure as one, and I should like to kick like one too.
Not me, I hope, Tom.
Oh no, Lou, I wouldn't hurt you. I made an exception of you. I don't know what this jolly old jaundiced jail would be without you.
Do you really and truly say so?
Why, of course I do. What's the use in talking about it?
Tom, listen. I can hear music.
Oh, it sounds so jolly, Lou.
Come on, Tom, let's go find it.
The music was coming from my father's circus. Signor Duke, as he called himself. He was a clown and a tumbler.
have never been seen on this fair outpost.
From Llandaff and one-wheel bikers.
Not two.
Not two, just one wheel.
So, without further ado, we introduce you to the
Juggling jesters and Ariane, the aerial acrobat. We bring to you from from the continent of America,
The greatest specialty act ever seen.
the Gandini Acrobatic Troupe.
In the name of wonder, I will lesson folly. What do you do here?
Wanted to see what it was like, Father.
What it was like?
Yes, Father.
Oh, say not another word. You are childish. I will hear no more. Let us go home immediately. What would your friends say, Louisa?
We have no friends, Father.
What will Mr. Bounderby say? What would Mr. Bounderby say, Louisa?
All the way to Stone Lodge, as with grave indignation, he led me to Lincoln's home, and repeated at intervals.
What would Mr. Bounderby say?
Mr. Bounderby was, at that moment, standing in the formal drawing room of Stone Lodge, in front of the fire. He stood in front of the fire, partly because it was a cool afternoon, and partly because he thus took up a commanding position from which to subdue Mrs. Gradgrind.
Mrs. Gradgrind was little, thin, white, pink-eyed, bundle of shawls, who was invariably stunned by some weighty piece of fact tumbling upon her.
No, ma'am, no. I hadn't a shoe to me foot. I'd spend the day in a ditch and the night in a pigsty. And that's how I passed my days as a youth. Not that a ditch were new to me, but, ma'am, I was born in a ditch.
Hope it was a dry ditch, Mr. Bounderby.
Dry, ma'am? Dry? No, it were wet as a sop. A foot of water in it.
Enough to give a baby a cold.
Cold, ma'am? Cold? I was born with inflammation of the lungs. For years, ma'am, I was the most miserable wretch to be seen. How I pulled through, I don't know. With no one to thank for my successes but myself. I'm not denying the truth. The past, ma'am, can't be altered. Me mother bore me in a ditch. That ma'am, she bolted. She left me to me granddam, a wicked, crafty fox, who sold my shoes to pay for drink and kept me in an egg box. I'll not deny I suffered, although I was so pity. I'm staying by, you see, today with no help from this city. Opportunity is mine, so pick it while you can. The cruise labor is to stop. I'm a self-made man. As soon as I was grown, well, as soon as I was able, I left that wicked grandmother and moved into a stable. I learned to read and write from put shops inside the windows. But man is man, you cannot learn from beggars, thieves, and swindlers. How long did I have suffered, although I was so busy? And day man, it seems a day we go out from the city. Opportunities rise, so if you want it now, the fruit of labor is itself. As a self-made man. Ragamuffin, vagabond, errand boy, vagabond, labour porter, all sort of clerk, and a small marker. Josiah Bounderby, a cooktown. I dare say that you're shocked. You found my tale offending. If that's the case, you'll be relieved the story's shortly ended. But what is fact is fact, though philosophers may doubt it. I'd rather swallow boiling fat than lose my chance to shout it. How long did I have suffered, although I was so busy? And babe, and you see today will go out from this city. Opportunity is wide, so make it while you can. The fruit of labor is itself. I'm a self-made man. It's a self-made man. Oh dear, what's the matter with my little Louisa, eh?
Father caught us peeping at the circus.
Mrs. Gradgrind, I should soon have expected to find my children reading poetry.
Dear me, how could you? I declare, you're enough to make one regret ever having a family at all. And I wish I hadn't. Then what should you have done, I should like to know? Why, my head's throbbing. Do you have to go running after circuses? When you should be looking in your cabinets at your shells and minerals. Why do you want to know about circuses when you've got all those facts to see to? That's the reason. Don't tell me that's the reason, because it's nothing of the sort. Now, go and do something illogical immediately.
But now, Mrs. Gradgrind, did they come to leave this house?
Mr. Gradgrind.
Now, young Tom and Miss Louisa, don't worry yourselves. I'll have a word with your father and answer for this old messy business being forgotten about. Now, I think that's worth a kiss, ain't it, Louisa?
You may take one, Mr. Bounderby.
Always my pet, ain't you, Louisa? Now, run along, you two.
What are you about, Lou? You'll rub a hole in your face.
You can cut the piece out with your penknife, Tom. I wouldn't cry.
Now, Bounderby, I am very much vexed by this discovery. I have, as you know, devoted myself to developing a system of education based on reason and fact. So, where has this curiosity and vulgar entertainment come from? Could some idle storybook have gone into the house, or maybe one of the servants could have spoke to them of the circus? Have any of these circus people been up to the house? Why, of course. Yes, that's it, Bounderby. Cecilia Dew. She applied to come to the school, and she came here to the house and spoke to Mrs. Gradgrind. Oh, pray, Mrs. Gradgrind, tell us what passed.
Poor Nell. Well, the girl wanted to come to the school, and Mr. Gradgrind wanted girls to come. And the reason and Thomas both said that the girl wanted to come, and that Mr. Gradgrind wanted girls to come, and how would I contradict them when such was the fact?
Now, listen here, Gradgrind. Give this girl the turnabout. Get rid of her, and there's an end to it. I am much of your opinion. And do it at once. That has always been my motto from a young age. When I decided to run away from me wicked grandmother and me egg box, I did it at once. You do the same. Do this at once. Come on, you lot!
and gentlemen, and see the show of a lifetime. Audacious and airborne acrobats, supremely skillful sword swallowers, clowns that'll make you laugh till you cry. And as you see before me, those cunningly clever control shellings. What?
Yeah, he had a hat over his eyes and a bundle wrapped up in a handkerchief. He had merry legs with it.
Could he stop him or something?
I couldn't stop him, Gov. I only had one leg on.
This sissy know that.
Hello, I know. Who's in charge of this ragtag and bobtail?
When Mr. Bounderby and Mr. Gradgrind arrived at the service, however, they were unable to tell my father anything, for he had already left, believing that my education was secured. Now I was enrolled at the school.
Do you mean that he deserted his daughter?
Well, he was booed last night and booed the night before.
What?
He's all used up. He couldn't make people laugh no more. It's the same as he left our city. And it cut him deep knowing as he knew that he fell.
Left our city? This is Rich Gradgrind. This man, Jew, loves his daughter so much that he ups and leaves her. Well, my mother left me. Well, I call a spade a spade. And I'll call this man Jupe, a rogue, and a vagabond.
It's all the same to us, if he is or he isn't. But don't mount us again in this place. Why do you want to see him, Squire?
Well, Canon, Cecilia Jupe was not a suitable pupil for the school.
Aye, but if her father really has left, then maybe I can help him. What are you thinking of,
Father?
Gradgrind?
Father, where's Father? He sent me to get 9 oils, and when I came back, he and Merrylegs and all his things had gone. Oh, Mr. Sleary, what will happen to him without me?
Now this is no good, Gradgrind. The girl must know the fact of the matter. Now, young lady, your father's left you, and you mustn't ever expect to see him again.
Mr. Bounderby being a bachelor, Mrs. Sparsit, an elderly lady, presided over his establishment. Mrs. Sparsit had not only seen different days, but was highly connected. And here she was now, in her elderly days, with a Coriolanisian style of nose and dense black eyebrows, making Mr. Bounderby his tea.
And just as Mr. Bounderby loudly deprecated his own very lowly origins, so he loudly exalted Mrs. Sparset's pedigree.
No, ma'am, it's no use my talking to you about this tumbling girl. At a time when, to have been a tumbler in the mud would have been a godsend to me, a prize in the lottery to me. You would have been in the Italian opera, ma'am. You would have been in the Italian opera, in white satin and jewels.
I was familiar with the Italian opera at a very early age.
No, it's no use my talking to you about tumbling girls. You were born in lap of luxury. Go, ma'am, you know you were born in lap of luxury.
I do, sir, not deny it.
And you in crack society, devilish high society.
It is true, sir.
And yet, how does it turn out? Why, here you are, keeping house squandering here for Josiah Bounderby of Cooktown, who were born in a gutter.
So what is to happen to this tumbling girl? She is waiting to know whether she is to go straight to the school or up to the lodge.
She shall have to wait, ma'am, till I know myself. We shall have Tom Gradgrind up here presently, and if he should desire for her to stay here a day or so longer, well, she may. I proudly hope that Mrs. Sparsit, you will give up this madcap idea.
But Mr. Gradgrind was determined to educate me, and so to vindicate his system of training upon an ignorant mind such as mine. I know that I'm
Oh, now, Bounderby, it's no use trying to persuade me otherwise, for my mind is made up. Jude, I have made up my mind to take you into my house. As you know, you are to communicate no more with your friends of the circus. You will continue with your education, and when you are not at school, you will wait upon Mrs. Gradgrind, who is something of an invalid. I have explained to Miss Louisa. This is Miss Louisa.
But they don't know how to say.
Your miserable history. From now on, you'll never refer to those days ever again. You are at present ignorant, I know. You will be strictly educated so that you will become a living proof of the training of the advantages you will receive.
Are you referring to young Miss Gradgrind, Mr. Bounderby?
Yes, ma'am. I'm referring to Miss Louisa.
Your observation being limited to little puss, and there being two young ladies in question, I did not know which might be indicated by such an expression.
Louisa. Louisa. Louisa.
You are quite another father to Louisa, sir.
If you'd have said I was another father to Tom, young Tom, I mean, well, you'd have been nearer the mark. I intend to have young Tom in my bank. Take him under me wing, ma'am, so to speak.
Indeed. Rather young for that, is he not, sir?
Oh, well, no, I won't take him at once, ma'am, of course. He must finish his educational cramming first. By the Lord Harry, young Tom would open his eyes if he knew how empty a learning Josiah Bounderby was at his age.
Young Tom was also looking to the future, and Bounderby figured largely in his plans as he consulted with his sister. He expressed these sentiments sitting astride of a chair, with his arms on the back and his sulky face on his arms.
Louisa sat in the dark corner by the fireside, looking at the bright sparks as they dropped upon the hearth.
You're a girl, Lou, and a girl comes out of it better than a boy does. You're the only pleasure I have. You can even brighten up this place.
You're a dear brother, Tom, but I don't know what other girls know. I can't play to you, or sing to you, or read to you so as to lighten your mind, for I never see any amusing sights or read any amusing books that it would be a pleasure to talk to you about when you're tired.
I wish I could collect all the facts in the world, and all the figures, and all the people who found them out, and I wish I could put 1,000 barrels of gunpowder under them and blow them all up. However, when I go to live with old Bounderby, I'll have my revenge.
Your revenge, Tom?
I mean, I'll enjoy myself a little. I'll go about and see something and hear something. I'll recompense myself for the way I have been brought up.
But Tom, Mr. Bounderby thinks as father thinks, and is a great deal harsher and not half so kind.
Oh, but I don't mind. I shall very well know how to smooth and manage old Bounderby.
And what is this great mode of smoothing and managing, Tom? Or is it a secret?
Well, if it's a secret, it's not far off, Lou. Because it's you. You're his favourite. You're his little pet. When he says to me what I don't like, I shall say, my sister Lou will be hurt and disappointed, Mr. Bounderby. That'll bring him about, or nothing will. Are you asleep, Lou?
No, Tom. I've been looking into the fire.
Except it is a fire. It looks as dull and black as everything else looks. What do you see in it? Not a circus.
I see nothing in it. But I was looking at it and thinking about you and me grown up. I was watching the red sparks whitening and dying. It made me think how short my life will be, and how little I can hope to do in it.
So many powers worn out, so much money made. Time with his innumerable horsepower worked away, not minding what anybody said. And presently turned out young Thomas, a foot taller than when his father had last taken particular notice of him.
Thomas is becoming.
Said Mr. Gradgrind.
He's almost a young man.
Time passed Thomas on in the mill while his father was thinking about it. And there he stood, in a long-tailed coat, a stiff shirt collar.
Really, the period has arrived when Thomas ought to go to Bounderby.
Time sticking to him passed him on into Bounderby's bank, made him an inmate of Bounderby's house, necessitated the purchase of his first razor, and exercised him diligently in his calculations relative to number 1.
Once when time met a sunrise, the loom by the fireside, family together, working to produce their livelihood. Whole families were together now, no more cottage industry, working for a master now, and dying daily in the factory.
All this while Louisa had been passing on, so quiet and reserved, that Mr. Gradgrind was most surprised one day to note.
Louisa has become quite a young woman.
Mr. Gradgrind became thoughtful of his discovery for several days, and then he held Louisa in his arms, and in the kindest manner said,
My dear Louisa, you are a woman.
Yes, father.
My dear, I must speak with you alone and seriously. Come to my room after breakfast tomorrow, will you?
Later that night, Tom arrived. He was quite a young gentleman of pleasure now, but not a very prepossessing one.
Oh, Tom.
Now, you are very fond of me, ain't you?
Indeed I am, Tom. Oh, I wish you wouldn't leave it quite so long without coming to see me.
Well, sister of mine, we could always be together. You could always see me if only you would say the right words.
Why? What do you mean, Tom?
Well, don't you know where father is tonight? I'll tell you. He's with old Bounderby. They're having a regular confab together about you. And it would do me a great deal of good if you were to make your mind up to, well, you know what. Now, I can't stay because I'm engaged to some fellows tonight. But you mustn't forget how fond of me you are when you speak to father tomorrow.
Time and machine behind me, its great piston smoking, pushing me ever forward in a vast production line.
And so it was that next morning, Mr. Gradgrind put Mr. Bounderby
Bounderby. Are you consulting the chimneys of the Coketown Works, Louisa?
There is nothing there but languid and monotonous smoke. But when nighttime comes, fire bursts out, Father.
Yes, I know that, Louisa, but I do not see the application of the remark, and it does not answer our question.
Father, do you think I love Mr. Bounderby?
Well, my dear, I really cannot take it upon myself to say.
Do you ask me to love Mr. Bounderby?
My dear Louisa, no. No, I ask nothing.
Does Mr. Bounderby ask me to love him?
Now, Louisa, Mr. Bounderby does not do you the injustice, and does not do himself the injustice, of pretending to anything fanciful, fantastic, or sentimental. Therefore, I suggest, my dear, that perhaps the expression is, or might be, a little misplaced.
Well, what would you advise that I use in its place, Father? What should I substitute for the misplaced expression?
Louisa, it appears to me that nothing can be plainer. Confining yourself rigidly to fact, the question of fact to state yourself is, does Mr. Bounderby ask me to marry him? Yes, he does. The sole remaining question being, shall I marry him? Now, I think nothing can be plainer than that.
Oh, happy we, they gather blossom, gather the flowers, feasting and dancing about today. Oh, at least for 2 hours.
In the 8 weeks between the proposal and the wedding, Mr. Bounderby visited Stone Lodge every evening. Love on all occasions during the period of the betrothal took on a manufacturing aspect.
Louisa, I brought you a golden bracelet.
Thank you, Mr. Bounderby.
Oh, you must call me Josiah now.
As you wish.
The fact is we've a contract when sales are in decline. With a love that's on our shop, we could all be full and shop if we don't dish out the merchandise on time. How to manufacture a marriage to an 8-week costing plan. Time is money and the preparation will need every working man. Solid weight of industry, exhibited online. In the package control, they always fulfill in the best that cash can buy.
Louisa, I brought you a gold necklace.
Thank you, Josiah.
Now, I think that's worth a kiss, ain't it, Louisa?
As you wish.
The work is never ending. The craftsmanship is fine. For a necklace made of gold, 30 men will die from cold while they're scrambling through the waters down the mine. How to manufacture a marriage to an 8-week costing plan. Time is money and the preparation will need every working man. Solid weight of industry, exhibited online. Since the package control, they always fulfill in the best that cash can buy.
Now, you must own your trousseau, Louisa.
I suppose that I must.
Now, we must arrange the wedding banquet.
As you say.
No one shall say that Josiah Bounderby of Coketown were less than generous when he married John Gladgrine's daughter. We shall go to Lyon for honeymoon.
Shall we?
Big woolen industry there. I shall study their mills.
Indeed.
Dresses of silk and satin, a velvet trapping coat, 20 bottles of champagne, another 20-carat chain, and a wedding cake so sweet it makes you choke. How to manufacture a marriage to an 8-week costing plan. Time is money and the preparation will need every working man.
take this woman, Louisa Gradgrind, to be your lawful wedded wife?
I do.
Do you, Louisa Gradgrind, take this man, Josiah Bounderby, to be your lawful wedded husband?
I do.
Right, that's out then. Now then, you're all invited back to Stone Lodge for a wedding breakfast. And you shall see that Josiah Bounderby go down, put his hand in his pocket when he married Lou Gradgrind. Right, come on, let's eat.
I say, Lou, what a game girl you are to be such a first-rate sister. Bounderby shall have to treat you right now. Ain't it uncommonly jolly?
In order to establish the facts of this case, we must look at the statistics. I find, on reference to the figures for England and Wales, that a large proportion of these marriages are contracted between parties of unequal ages. And the elder of these contracting parties is, in rather more than 3/4 of these instances, the bridegroom. These are the facts that I lay before my daughter Louisa in the event of Mr. Bounderby's proposal of marriage. Marriage, like every other circumstance, must be considered as simply a question of tangible fact.
Stephen Blackpool's got a wife. That means more life. Children strive. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Company Stephen up or down. Lucky, lucky Stephen.
Well, I was married 19 years in. She was a young lass, pretty, you know. But she went bad. She took to drink. I tried to wean her from it. I tried this, I tried that, I tried t'other. I'd gone on many a time and found all vanished that I had in the world. She left me, disgraced herself, but then she'd come back over and over again. I'd walk the streets nights long to keep her from home, and even one night I went to the bridge minded to fling myself over. Well, I've had it. I've been paying her to keep away. These last 5 years I've been paying her. And last night again, she came back.
Stephen, we must help her. We can't just leave her in the street.
Oh, Rachel, look at her. I mean, look at her. I just can't bear it no more. I would have gone hotter in mad, but for that I had the comforting words of pity. Oh, the best lass living.
Stephen Blackpool loves a girl.
She's not his wife.
But she's a pearl.
Life's a muzzle.
Life's a twirl. Ain't it lucky Stephen?
Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Come on, Stephen, up or down. Lucky, lucky Stephen.
Oh, Mr. Bounderby.
Aye.
Sir. I read in the papers that great folk can be set free from their marriages and marry over again.
Aye.
Well, I want to be free from this woman, and I want to know how.
No how.
Well, if I do her hurt, sir, then there's a lot to punish me.
Of course there is.
Well, if I'm married to other dear lass, there's a lot to punish me.
Of course there is.
Well, if I was to live with her and not marry her, there's a law to punish me, and every innocent child belonging to me.
Well, of course there is.
Well, then in God's name, show me the law to help me.
Oh, there is such a law, but it's not for the likes of you. It costs money. I mean
Blackpool turning grey. He works hard as a young man, eh? He'll have to lose what half his pay. Won't you, lucky Stephen? Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky Stephen, up or down. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky, lucky Stephen. Lucky Stephen, up or down. Lucky, lucky Stephen.
Right then. Now, I am Josiah Bounderby, and I'm a plain-speaking man, so I'll state the factory to you. And maybe those who know better than to waste your time expecting to be fed on turtle soup and venison with a gold spoon, you will understand. I, Josiah Bounderby, pay you to make what I sell. And if I cannot sell, then you can see that I must pay you less. Now, if you understand that fact, you will see, as plain as a price, that if the market won't give me my price, which it won't, then I must pay you less. Well, facts are facts, and Josiah Bounderby a court down is not a man to cry over spilled milk. The market price of cotton is dropping 10%, and so you see why your wages must also drop by 10%. The new wages start next month. Now then, it's back to work, for this is my time and my money. And Josiah Bounderby a court down does not waste his money.
Join the Weavers Union! Sing out, you working men, and raise your voices high.
Low tide and all and deathly poor, our time is almost dry. With broken backs and twisted limbs from bending all the loom, the masters work you till you drop and starve you in your tomb. We won't lie down and beg like dogs, the each has got us right. The masters want their wages and the law is on their side. And each alone accepts it thus, together we a voice. So join the Weavers Union, join the union, find your voice. 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 Join the union.
Harthouse, James Harthouse, sir. Sent by Thomas Gradgrind with you to standing as MP for Coketown.
Aye, and by the look here, you're not the sort of man who's accustomed to a place like Coketown. So, if you'll allow me, though if you're not from a plain-speaking man, I'll tell you a little bit about the place.
I'd be charmed to hear it, Mr. Bounderby. I'm sure.
Oh, don't be too sure of that, lad. Now, you see that smoke out there? That's meat and drink to us, that is. It's the healthiest thing in the world in all respects, medical and financial. I employ 500 ants who all expect to be fed on turtle soup and venison with a gold spoon. But
Barnaby, I assure you I'm completely and entirely of your way of thinking. These reformers are the most tedious of fellows.
I'm glad to hear it. Well, now you know the place, you must meet my wife. For maybe you know, maybe you don't know, that I'm married to Tom Gradgrind's daughter, Louisa! Louisa!
She was the most remarkable girl Mr. James Harthouse had ever seen. She was so constrained, yet so careless, so cold and proud, yet so sensitively ashamed of her husband's braggart humility, from which she shrank, as if every example were a cut or a blow.
No, don't mistake me for a family man, Harthouse, for I'm a genuine scrap of ragtag and bobtail, educated in the gutter. Now, Louis had lots of expensive education, political and otherwise. In fact, if you wanted to cram for anything, I could not advise to you a better teacher than Lou Bounderby.
Indeed, Mr. Bounderby, I cannot imagine that a better or more agreeable teacher could exist anywhere.
Oh, I never learned to pay compliments myself. But I'm not a gentleman. I don't pretend to be one. Not like you. No, I'm not influenced by manners and such, though Louis here will appreciate them, I dare say. Supper's 8, sharp. Till then, I've got work to be getting on with. Josiah Bounderby, a cook, down in not earn his money by standing still.
Mr. Bounderby is a noble animal, quite free from conventional trappings.
It is natural you should respect Mr. Bounderby. So, you're going to help the nation out of its difficulties, Mr. Harthouse?
Well, no. I'm not so vain. I've seen a little of the world here and there. Up to now, I find it fairly worthless. I thought I might as well try politics as anything else. I respect your father's opinions because I have none of my own.
No.
Well, I don't attach any importance to any of my opinions. Thanks to all the boredom I've endured, I'm convinced that any set of ideas will do just as much good or harm as any others.
And is that what you believe?
I like a political party that thinks it can prove itself with facts and figures. It gives a man a chance to get on.
You are a singular politician, Mr. Harthouse.
They conversed for over an hour, but in all that time, her handsome features revealed no expression or feeling. Harthouse wondered whether anything would move that face.
Tom!
Yes, by Jupiter. As the door opened, she broke into a beaming smile, a beautiful smile. Harthouse might not have thought so much of it, but that he had wondered so long at her impassive face. She put out her hand, her pretty soft little hand, and her fingers closed upon her brother's. Harthouse saw her weakness and knew he could use it.
swell you are.
Call me Jem.
So, Jem. How'd you like a dose of old Bounderby?
He seems a good enough sort of old fellow.
I never really cared for him myself.
Tell me about your sister, Tom. She seems an unusual sort of girl.
We had an unusual sort of upbringing. She never cared for him either.
That's the past tense, Tom. We're in the present now.
Verb neuter. Present tense. Indicative mood. First person singular, I do not care. Second person singular, thou does not care. Third person singular, she does not care.
Very droll. You don't mean it.
I do. Lou never had a suitor. She's never been courted. It was no surprise when father proposed old Bounderby. She took it. But she wouldn't have done if it hadn't been for me.
You?
I persuaded her. I was going to be stuck at Bounderby's bank. And I knew that if I got into any scrape, she'd be able to help me out.
Very droll of you. Very good of your sister.
Yes, was. But she's not been so generous recently.
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing.
I
Anyway,
propose
it was
a
more
toast
important for me.
to the Amalgamated Society of Weavers.
And I propose another toast to Bounderby.
What?
Aye, to Bounderby. To hell with Bounderby. To hell with
Second, to hell with Bounderby. And another toast, to hell with Blacklegs.
Oh, to hell with Steve Blackpool.
I say, Tom, I wouldn't like to be in that old fellow Blackpool's shoes.
Blackpool's a blackleg. Yeah, and this is the man I was telling you about, Louisa. The whole workforce has turned against him. But he knows where his loyalty lies, don't you, lads? Ah, lad, what are these pests of the earth been doing to you?
What were it, sir? As you wanted to see me about?
Tell us about his union, lads, and what plans they're hatching.
Begging your pardon, sir. I had naught to say.
Now come on, Stephen. I know they've put their black mark on you, but you must not be afraid to speak out.
I said, sir, I had naught to say. Not as I were feared.
Wait, Mr. Crackle. How is it came that you didn't join the union?
Well, I made a promise, sir.
But not to me, I'm sure. If it had been a case of Josiah Bounderby a cut down, you'd have joined him and made no bones about it.
Well, yes, sir, I would.
Do you see that, Louisa? Do you see that? He knows these unions. They're nothing but a parcel of rascals and rabbles.
Are they rebels, Mr. Blackpool?
No, ma'am. Not rebels and not rascals. There's not a man jack of them doesn't believe he's done his duty by his mates.
I suppose it's because they're so full of virtue they've voted you out.
You have to understand, ma'am. They're faithful to one another, even to death. Be poor amongst them, be sick amongst them, shed tears amongst them, and they'll be tender with you, gentle with you, Christian with you. Thank you kindly, all.
Wait there, sir, wait there. Well, what do you complain of?
Well, I didn't come to complain, sir. I came because I was sent for.
What do the people complain of, Mr. Blackpool?
Well, look at how we live, and in what numbers. Look at how the mills are always going, and our only end is in death. Look at how you're always right and we're always wrong. And still it gets harder and harder. And you want us to work for less and less. Well, look on it, and then tell me if it's unfair.
Yes. You're gonna go setting it all right, are you?
No, sir. But I know a strong hand won't set it right. And I know letting us alone won't do it. You let thousands and thousands of men, women and children alone, living lives like ours. And they become like one great big black wheel between you and the light. And most of all, regulating us us won't do it, as though we were figures in a sum. Machines without memories, without love or liking, without souls to weary and souls to hope.
You're a troublemaker, Blackpool. You're one of the Gold Spoon Brigade. You're such a troublemaker. The old class won't have anything to do with you. But I won't have anything to do with you either. Get out!
Sir, no. You know, if I can't get with you, I can't get with anyone.
I don't much care. Get out! You're sacked!
With a shake of his head and a deep sigh, Stephen looked once more at Louisa and turned away. It was in desolate mood that Stephen left his employer's house. He crossed the street with his eyes bent upon the ground, until he felt a touch upon his arm.
Pray, sir, did I just see you coming out of the gentleman's house?
Yes, Mrs. It were me.
Have you, you'll excuse an old woman's curiosity, but have you seen the gentleman today?
Why, yes, Mrs.
And how did he look? Was he hearty and healthy?
Why, yes, ma'am. He were as large and loud as the humming bee.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Stephen had never seen this old woman before, but there was a vague familiarity in his mind. She walked along at his side, staring about her with immense curiosity. To put her at ease, Stephen asked, "How it is your first time in Coketown?"
Oh, no, I come once a year. I spend my savings so that once a year I come to trance the streets and see the gentleman. But this year I've not seen him. And I may have to return without a glimpse of him. Tell me, sir, did you work with the gentleman?
Aye, I did. I was a hand in factory. I had worked in that factory 12 years in.
I must kiss the hand that has worked in such a fine factory for a dozen years. What a lucky man to have such a master.
Another surprise awaited him at his lodgings. There with Rachel was the wife of Mr. Bounty and her brother.
Mr. Blackpool, I want to speak to you. I'd like to help.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
There's just one thing I don't understand. Why can't you get another job?
The millmasters stand together, and he gets the reputation of being a troublemaker.
So you're cast out on both sides.
Just because of a promise he made to me. Just 10 years in, and anybody caught joining union were blacklisted by masters. Oh, Stephen, I tried to keep you from harm, not bring you into it.
I'll never break a promise made to thee, lass. Never.
What will you do now?
Well, I'll have to make the best of it, ma'am. I need to find another place. I'll have to leave tomorrow.
How will you travel?
Well, on foot, ma'am. What else?
Here. Take this. My husband has treated you most unfairly.
No, ma'am. That's far too much. I can't accept that. Look, I'll take £2. I know I can pay that back.
I wish there was more I could do to help you, Mr. Blackpool. Come on, Tom. Goodbye, Mr. Blackpool.
Lou, if you're throwing money away,
Tom, please. You needed it.
and I don't, Lou, if you knew how much I needed this money, you'd. But no, you'd give it to some low-class stranger and not your own brother. £10. I need a lot more than this. Is that all I'm worth to you?
I can't keep doing this, Tom. I sold all my jewellery for you. I give you my allowance every week. I haven't got any more money to give you.
Don't come that. You could sweeten up or bound me if you wanted to. You just don't choose to, that's all.
Tom, please.
I've had enough, Lou. Just go.
Tom, what are you doing? Where are you going?
I've got things to see to, Lou. Just go. Blackpool. I say Blackpool, open up.
Back to life.
repeatedly. The heart must beat, the lungs will sigh. We all grow old, and then we die.
The facts of life are plain to see, or so I'm told. Repeatedly, the heart must beat, the lungs will sigh. We all grow old, and then we die. Facts aren't sentimental, they're locum stand as true. And the fact is I am dying,
Which is obviously proof.
There's a pain in the room, and I couldn't say it's mine.
It feels cold behind these eyes, and I think that I've been blind. It hasn't grown a bigger, it cannot be defined.
Facts of life are plain to see.
It's all
So I'm told.
question of interest.
Be the lungs will sigh, the lungs will die.
One cannot contradict
And we die.
science.
The facts aren't sentimental, they are locum stand as true. And the fact is, I am
Oh, Mr. Harthouse!
Mrs. Sparsit now sat at her afternoon apartment at Mr. Bounderby's back. Usurped from his domestic arrangements by his marriage to Louisa, she now presided over his financial residence.
At that moment, Bitzer, the light porter in Bounderby's bank, was in the process of bringing Mrs. Sparsit her tea.
Thank you, Bitzer.
Thank you, ma'am.
All shut up, Bitzer?
Oh, shut up, ma'am.
Is that old woman still loitering outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is she, Bitzer?
I have no idea, ma'am. But it's obvious that a panel that she has no legitimate business with Mr. Bounderby.
And what is the news of the day, Bitzer?
Mr. Bounderby fired under the hands.
Indeed.
He was a troublemaker, ma'am.
I can't believe it.
The Millans are a bad lot. They're joining together to form a union.
The clerks are industrious and punctual, I trust, Bitzer.
With the usual exception of Mr. Thomas Gradgrind. He is an individual man, and has never been what he ought to be. He is a dissipated, extravagant idler who isn't worth his salt, man. And he wouldn't get it either if he hadn't a friend and relation at court, man.
Ah.
It is a great pity that his friend and relation is subsidising his bad habits, and we know how to whose pocket that money comes.
It is to be pitied, Bitzer. It is most sincerely to be pitied. What are you looking at, Bitzer? Is that old woman still outside?
No, she's gone. But that Milan, the one Mr. Bounderby fired, Stephen Blackpool is out there.
I wonder what he's up
Stephen Blackpool,
Tom's closet.
No interruption, sir. Don't forget that while you were snoozing, I were robbed.
Desire, I just heard.
You look as pale as a ghost, my dear. Good, it does you credit. My loss is your loss, sir.
Where is Tom?
He's with the police.
He's gone to fetch the police.
Robbed with a false key.
How much was taken?
Not so very much. 150 odd pounds.
154, 7 shillings and sixpence.
Silence, sir. You've caused enough trouble today. Anyway, it might have been 20,000 pounds.
Suppose it might.
Suppose it might have been twice 20, but for the fellas being disturbed.
Is there a suspect?
Of course there's a suspect. When Josiah bound to be a cook down is robbed, there has got to be a suspect.
The mill hand, sir. We saw him waiting outside.
Not our friend Blackpot, Blackpool.
That's the scamp.
And that old lady. She was loitering around all afternoon, and then the mill hand came and she left.
So they were knit together. We'll have them. It'll take time, but we'll have them. Thanks to Mrs. Sparsik's sharp eyes.
Down, 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 my lady. You'll reach the bottom soon. Mrs. Sparsit had erected in her mind a mighty staircase, with a pit of shame and ruin at the bottom. And day to day, hour to hour, she saw Louisa coming.
It is late, Mr. Harthouse, but I'm glad to see you. Thank you for talking to Tom.
I just cannot understand his insensitivity. His blindness to the one creature who has sacrificed everything for his sake.
He has been much kinder to me.
I'm glad for your sake. I just wish...
Don't say it, please.
I have to tell you.
Don't speak about it.
You're my only hope. Before I met you, my life was a long desert, worthless. I bought my way into dragoons, bored. Trained in an English consulate, bored. Strolled through Jerusalem, bored. Sailed the world, bored. And now I'm trying politics, and I am bored. Until I met you. Look at me.
I'm afraid.
Everything's worthless without you.
No, we can't.
I want to throw it all away like dirt.
No!
Stay with me.
No, not here.
Where?
Not in this house.
Come to my hotel in Coketown. We leave this evening. I'll wait for you there.
Down, down, down. In the circumnavigation of this outrage, I've imagined every stumbling block and step. I can see a spiral staircase slowly tightening around that young Louisa's pretty neck. How befitting that the rain should fall in torrents, and the thunder should be pealing upon high. I can feel the air itself cry retribution. The time is nigh. Down, 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 down. All laid bare for Mr. Bounderby to see. He'll no longer wonder. He'll love me. My dearest love, you little think how well attended you are. Indifferent to the rain, and moving with a quick determined step, Mrs. Sparsit followed in the shadow of the trees. When Louisa stopped to close the side gate quietly, Mrs. Sparsit stopped. When Louisa went on, Mrs. Sparsit went on. On a parallel path, they both emerged from the green lane, crossed the stony road, and descended the wooden steps to the train station. The Coketown train, I knew it!
Oh, you're on the lowest step now, my lady.
Seizure the station with a bit of cherry and out of the train.
The first class single to Kirktown.
Louisa put into one carriage.
A first-class single to Kirktown.
Mrs. Sparsit was into another.
As Mrs. Sparsit sat in her carriage, though her teeth chattered from wet and cold, she exulted hugely. Louisa had plunged down the precipice, and she saw herself as viewing the corpse.
She will be in Kirktown before him, no matter how fast his horse is. Where will she wait for him? Where will they go together? We shall see.
The tremendous rain occasions an infinite confusion when the train stopped at its destination. Gutters and pipes had burst, drains had overflowed, and streets were underwater.
In the first instance of alighting, Mrs. Sparsit turned her distracted eyes towards the waiting coaches, which were in great demand.
She will get into one carriage and will be away before I have chance to follow in another.
Louisa got into no coach and was gone.
Mrs. Sparsit returned to Louisa's carriage. She looked in and found it empty. Went through and through of her feet squelching in her shoes. All her clothes spoiled. Mrs. Sparsit had no resource but to burst into tears.
I have lost her!
Louisa, what are you doing here?
I want to speak to you, Father.
Your soap, child. Were you out of the store?
Yes.
And what is it, child?
What have you done to me?
And do you?
You remember the last time you talked in this room? Why didn't you help me then?
I cried?
Why didn't you neglect me as a child? You taught me to suppress everything from the heart. So I suppressed it. And in return, you gave me a husband that I hate.
Louisa!
I've a hunger and a thirst on me. I must find a place where there are no numbers or definitions.
But I never knew you were so unhappy.
I always knew. I thought my life would soon be over, and that nothing in it was worth fighting for.
But you're so young, Louisa.
Young and dead. I married, but I never pretended I loved him. I did it for Tom. He's the only tenderness in my life. I've met someone. I don't know how, but he understands me. It just surprises me that he cares for me when he cares for nothing else in this world.
Oh, he cares for you, Louisa.
Oh, I haven't done anything to disgrace you, Father. Did you ask me if I loved him? I think the answer may be yes. Perhaps I do, perhaps I do.
Child.
He's waiting for me now. I don't know whether to be glad, sorry, or ashamed. All I know is that your teaching won't help me now, Father. Find a way to save me, Father, find a way. I'll die if you hold me, let me fall.
And Gradgrind saw him, the pride of his heart, and the triumph of his system, lying in an insensible heap at his feet.
Ah, right, right. Now, this lady has took me to tell you that will strike you dumb. Dumb!
Banby, I want to speak.
No, not you, sir. Let this lady speak first.
Tell him,
Mr. Banby.
But this is no time to be swallowing Sparsit. If you can't get it out, then I will. But right, Mrs. Sparsit, overheard a conversation.
By accident.
Yes, indeed. By accident. Between your friend, Mr. James Harthouse, and Lou. She followed your precious daughter, my wife, to Harthouse's hotel. And now they've gone. Together.
Louisa is here.
Yes, together.
How do you mean here? She's upstairs asleep. She came here last night in the storm. Naturally, she stayed overnight.
Well, we shall all be very pleased to hear whatever explanation you may have to offer.
My throat. I need lemon juice.
You need something else, ma'am? Of course, she'll take you back to the bank. I'm sorry, Gradgrind. I am not in an agreeable state of mind. Your daughter, sir, has not been a dutiful wife to me.
Well, I doubt if we've ever understood Louisa.
What do you mean, we?
Either. I doubt if I've understood Louisa. I doubt if I've educated her in quite the right way.
Now you're right there. Now I'll tell you what education is. It's being thrown out your doors neck and crop and starved of everything except blows.
Yes, whatever the merits of such a system of education may be, it's difficult to apply it to girls.
No, it isn't.
You wrote wrong on the matter. Now I wanted to ask you, my dear Bounderby, if you would allow Louisa to stay here a while, Miss Sissy, I mean Cecilia, who understands her.
I gather from this, you think there is some incompatibility between Louisa and myself?
Well, I'm afraid there's an incompatibility between Louisa and almost everyone.
I'm a cool town man. I know every brick, chimney, stack and mill hand in this place. They're real. Everything else is turtle soup and venison with a gold spoon. Well, if Louisa wishes to dine on turtle soup and venison with a gold spoon, I suggest you divide it for. She won't get it out of me.
It's unreasonable. You took it for better or for worse.
No. Everyone will know that Josiah Bounderby and Blue Gradgrind were two horses that would not pull together. Come on, Mrs. Sparsit. Good day.
forgive you your wicked imagination.
But madam, you left your son to be brought up in the gutter.
Gutter? What gutter? Josiah was never in no gutter ever. He comes from humble parents, his parents who loved him, who never thought of the hardship on themselves to save to get him an education. Well, even when his poor father died, I managed to buy him an apprenticeship, even though I only have a village shop and the take him small enough. Still, he paid me back like a loving son. He pensioned me up for £30 a year not to trouble him. And shame upon you, sir, for accusing me of being a bad mother to my son, with my son standing here to tell you so different.
I don't exactly know how I came to be favoured with the present company. But if you're all quite satisfied, perhaps I'll be good enough to leave. Go on. Were you all invited here to hear a lecture on my family history? Get out the lot of here!
As he held the door open, Mr. Banby knew that what had just passed would be given to the whole village and given to the four winds.
Go on, get out the lot of here! Smoke! Go on, get out, you great officious busybody!
They found Stephen Blackpool in the old tail shop. He'd come straight away from his work after receiving Rachel's letter. He was on his way to Mr. Bounderby's country house after dark when he found. It was Sissy and Rachel that raised the alarm upon finding his hat upon the brink of a black, ragged chasm. A low murmur of pity went round the throng, and the women wept aloud as his crumpled form was raised from its iron deliverance and gently laid upon the ground.
Careful, you'll mangle the life out of him.
First, none but the surgeon went near him. He did what he could, but the best he could do was to cover him. This Jackie done, called him Rachel.
When the man shop were working, it killed wild need. Now it's abandoned, it still kills wild need. So we die wild need, one way or t'other.
Are you in pain, my dear one?
Why are you crying, lass?
If you hadn't made that promise for my sake, you never would have left. And if I hadn't written to you, you never would have come back.
It's all a fair, mother. It's a fair all. Oh, dear lady, I was thinking of you before I fell. And what you did for me, no matter what. Will you give a message to your father?
My father is here.
Sir, promise you'll clear my name. Now, your son Tom will tell you, but I met with him one night. I waited. I made no charges. Just promise me.
I promise.
Don't let go of my hand, Rachel. Don't let go.
I'll hold it all the way, all the way.
Bless thee, lass. Cover my face.
him well, Squire. Is he in disguise so we can move him?
Thank you, Mr. Steering.
You stood by our city, so we shall stand by you.
Can I see it?
Hello, Father.
How was it done?
How was what done?
The robbery.
Oh, that's it. I didn't take the money all at once. I pretended to put my bank back. Away I did that. I left the boss speaking Steve or found him. That's right.
If a thunderbolt had fallen on me, it would have shocked me less.
Why? So many people work in situations of trust, and so many out of so many will be dishonest. I've heard you talk 100 times of such laws, Father. You've come to everyone else, so comfort yourself.
We get him to Liverpool, Squire, then aboard.
Well, I suppose I can't be more miserable anywhere else than I've been here.
We get you changed, not to a station.
Look, it's a banker's draft. You'll be provided for wherever you end up. May God forgive you.
Oh, Tom,
I'm not you. I've nothing to say to you.
is this how it ends after all my love for you?
Pretty words. You gave up Bounderby and had my best friend Harthouse packed off, just like that.
Don't speak about him. If you ever love me, please don't speak about him.
You gave me up. You never cared for me.
Now stop the word. You must be leaving, Squire.
Sorry to interfere with your plans, but I must have Mr. Tom. I always suspected you did the robbery. Now, I suggest you come quiet. I shall blow this whistle.
Victor, don't do this. Have you got a heart?
Of course. The circulation can be carried on without one.
But can it be touched? Is it accessible to compassion?
It is accessible to reason, sir, and nothing else.
But what reason can you have for stopping this wretched boy from escaping?
I believe Mr. Bounderby will show his appreciation by promoting me to Mr. Tom's place at the bank.
So, it's solely a question of self-interest. Well,
sorry to interrupt you, sir, but as a politician, you must understand that the whole social system is a question of self-interest. You taught me that, sir, when I was very young.
how much do you want?
It's a compounded felony. Not even a slight sum would be as safe or as good for me as staying with Mr. Bounderby.
Victor, can't I appeal to you? You were at my school.
I paid for it. I was sold in the cheapest market, so I must sell myself in the dearest. This man is a criminal. And if anyone tries to stop me, I'll call the police, and they'll all be in trouble.
If he's a criminal, then we must help you. Now, Squire, you knew perfectly well that he didn't know what his son had done. That he didn't want to know. I thought it was just skylarking, but now I've found out he's robbed the bank. I'm sorry, Squire, but I must take this here man aside. Good evening, sir. Go and fetch the chap to send this here man and this thief to the police. And I tell you what, sir, I shall send my own dog Grampus along to protect him. Charles, go and get your Grampus.
Mr. Speary!
Oh, Tom,
Mr. Bounderby will appreciate this, sir. He's a very generous man.
Now don't you worry, Squire. This horse is no ordinary horse. This dog is no ordinary dog.
But
What did become of that lonely brother thousands of miles away?
Writing on a paper blotted with tears, and then a letter in a strange hand, saying how he died on such a day in love and penitence of his sister.
Such things were done. And what became of Mr. Bounderby?
Making a show of bitter to strangers, as the rising young man, so devoted to his master's great merits. But when Josiah Bounderby of Coatdown collapsed in a fit, the same bitter did not offer a hand to help him out of the gutter into which he fell and died.
Such a thing was to be. And Mr. Gradgrind, who became a decrepit, white-haired old man.
Despised by his party, because he bent his hitherto inflexible theories to humanity, and made his facts and figures subservient to faith, hope, and charity.
Such things were to be. And Sissy, happy Sissy,
A mother, careful that her children should have a childhood of the mind, no less than a childhood of the body.
such things were to be. And Louisa herself, again a wife.
A mother, lovingly watchful of her children.
Such a thing was never to be.
But happy Sissy's happy children, loving Louisa. All children loving Louisa, and she trying hard to beautify their lives and machinery with those imaginative delights, without which the heart of childhood will wither up.
Such things were to be.
People have too much unhappiness. That's why they must be amused. We can't always be a learning. We can't always be a working. We ain't made for it. We must try and do the right thing, the kind thing. Make the best of ourselves, not the worst. People must be amused.